existed. It's another thing to go, man, I didn't know that part of history existed, and you're Tom Hanks.
I read a New York Times piece on a 100-year-old survivor of the Tulsa Massacre. And my question was this: what's the Tulsa Massacre? How is it that it wasn't until 2 years ago that I heard about the Tulsa Massacre? How is that possible? I've heard about Custer's Little Bighorn. I heard about the Alamo. I heard about the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. I heard about all kinds of disasters in which people died. But I had never heard about this thing that happened in 1921, only 3 years before my dad was born. One of the most successful black communities in America, Black Wall Street, in which everybody was not only burned out of their homes and their businesses, but then driven out of the city limits by an angry mob of, I'm sorry, white people. How is it that this was not taught to me? Because I tell you, at the age of 10, when I was in fifth grade, living in Oakland, California, that would have been a moment of enlightenment for me. And it made me mad. It made me mad that somebody had somehow made an editorial process of what was appropriate for us to learn about our own American history. It made me angry. And it took me 54 years in order to find this out. It's not right. It's not right, and it's doing a disservice to all of America.
But we
One,
I'm not
can't
sure
make white people feel bad. We can't do that.
you're going to feel bad. I'm just going to let you know off the bat.
Yep.
You're going to feel bad about
if you
what
have
you're,
any amount of empathy. Yeah.
yeah, you're going to feel bad. There is a bunch of you ancestors who wasn't the sweet old grandmother and grandfather and great grandmother and great grandfather that you know and love. You know of them because you of how they treated you, of how they treated your friends, of how they treated your family. But outside of your friends and your family and you, I'm sorry. Some of these people were freaking monsters. You would literally have to be a monster to get an airplane and drop bombs on a town because of the skin tone that's the majority of that town. You have to be a monster to go in and burn down a whole town. You have to be a monster to tell the survivors of that town, thank you for surviving. Get the hell out of our state. You have to be a monster. I don't care if Uncle Lulu bounced you on your knee when you was 3 years old. Uncle Lou was walking around with a pitchfork and telling people, how dare you have more than I have? I'm sorry that you need to know this, but I am telling you in your face, you need to know this because the people of these days that want to erase history is telling you they don't want you to feel bad about what your people did. That and when they say stuff like that is a equivalent of saying, do not I don't want you to know what your ancestors did. Thus, when you hear minorities complain about it, and it's not that big of a deal because you don't have the acknowledgement of knowing what your ancestors did. So you negate their feelings about it. So the real complaints of how we was treated back in the day has now turned to you're just griping. Thus, do not have to listen to you. We just listened to Ralph Y'all, who had to deal with somebody who lived through those days. Unfortunately for the shooter, his whole family knows he's a freaking buster and called him out on it and don't even want to deal with him. But there are a lot of people who are not like that.
one of his grandsons was still trying to make excuses for him.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
even know
he's
that part.
old and he didn't know. He comes from that generation. Blah blah blah. Tell
Mm-hmm.
tell
Right.
Grandpa KKK he's going to prison
Let's
for a
go.
long time.
Let's go with that then. Thank you for saying that then. He comes from that generation. Thank you for admitting that that generation was full of monsters. I appreciate it. That generation raised a full of monsters. Thank you. Doesn't excuse him now, but thank you for acknowledging that the generation that he grew up with had no problem dragging black people out, stringing them on a tree, and hanging them just for the simple fact that they didn't have anything better to do that Saturday. Thank you. I
Both of
appreciate
my
it.
grandparents were racist AF. It was the later boomers who then became the hippies who said, we gotta break this chain somewhere. So yes, it's in all. If you have European ancestry, every single one of us have relatives that committed atrocities. It was not us. Most people, like when I was taught about slavery being a kid, I went, oh, that's horrible. Did I feel responsible for it? No. This is fine for kids to learn about. It is imperative for kids to learn about.
That means we're woke. We're too woke. That's what Ron DeSantis said. We're woke.
Fuck
Came in
him.
from.
We do not learn from history. We are doomed to repeat it, and we have repeated it over and over.
But
When
and
we gonna fucking learn?
that's the whole point. He wants to repeat it. You
Yeah.
have laws in. You had a lawmaker in I forget whether it was Tennessee or Missouri actually said bring lynching back and just
Mm-hmm.
said it. I'm like, y'all didn't suspend this
Mm-hmm.
person. Y'all didn't say, oh no, it's time for you to go out of office and don't come back anymore.
And that's where I was saying I really believe that we need to amend something somewhere that the voters can have some kind of fallback power. We can't just elect people and then, okay, I'm elected, I get to do whatever the fuck I want. I can lie to people, I can
Yep.
turn.
You know how hard it is to recall a
Yes, I do know how
husband?
hard it is.
No, I mean I know you know, but I'm just
We,
saying people need to
sorry,
realize
yes.
our laws are written that way. So once they get in, it's gonna be hard to get them out. And that's it was
Uh, uh,
designed to make us
The
lose.
system,
unless you
the
do a
system is
protest in the
designed
middle of a meeting in Tennessee, then it's really freaking easy to get your ass out of office.